Hello, and welcome to my presentation for tribal courts in Indian country. I have chosen to feature the Yurok tribe of Northern California and Southern Oregon for my presentation today, specifically the Yurok Tribal Court system. So, let's begin. And to start with a little bit about tribal location and setting. The Yurok tribe ancestrally are located in the extreme northwest California, which overlap the Coastal Range Mountains and the Klamath Mountain regions, which are depicted in the map on the right. You can see the reservation as a long, linear reservation that conforms to the alignment of the Klamath River. The reservation straddles three California counties: Humboldt County, Del Norte County, and Trinity County. It is a land of rugged forests, mountains, and expansive river valleys. It's beautiful, heavily forested, and rugged. It's centered around the lower 40 miles of the Klamath River and its tributaries, which are extensive and form an critically important watershed in Northwest California. The reservation comprises 56,000 acres. However, only about 5,000 of these acres are under tribal control. The remainder have heavy incursions by timber company and federal ownership. And let's delve into tribal history to provide an overview to place this presentation in its cultural context. Yurok, in terms of the language of the tribe, is one of two Algic languages spoken in California, only two, the other being the Wiyot tribe, which is located ancestrally around the Humboldt Bay region near the city of Eureka, California. The Yurok tribe has historically, in pre-contact and contemporary eras, been riverine basis, incredibly dependent on the Klamath River and its tributaries, and the abundant fisheries that historically blessed this area. Salmon was, is, and always shall be king for the tribe, central to the culture, traditions, and foodways of the Yurok people. It permeates the culture, traditions, and lifeways of the tribe. Very notably, Joe James, the Yurok tribal chairman, succinctly states powerfully, "If the salmon do not survive, neither will the tribe." And you can see on the right historic photographs of beautiful hollowed out canoe in the upper photo, and the lower photo substantial, what I believe are Chinook salmon on jaw or gill sticks hoisted by tribal members. And now contemporary demographics show us that the Yurok are the California's largest tribe with 6,500 enrolled members with over 487 employees and a very diversified economic portfolio. But let's turn back to how the reservation was established and how the Yurok people first started to interact with the incursion of white colonial settlers. In 1851, Reddick McKee was dispatched by the Bureau to negotiate a treaty with the Yurok and 16 other Indian tribes, resulting in the treaty shown on the right, which was drafted at the confluence of the Trinity and Klamath Rivers in 1851. Notable points included in the treaty included a cession of all interest in and possession of ancestral lands of the Yurok people. It delineated the reservation by metes and bounds to identify what was within and without the reservation. And in an aspect that mirrored many other tribal treaties, it required dispute resolution for federal adjudication, meaning that to control potentially negative interactions between white colonial settlers and tribal members, the federal government required that any complaints or any offenders be routed to federal authorities for adjudication and justice. It also allowed punitive withholding of annual monetary payments to the tribe as part of the treaty due to cause at the discretion of the President of the United States. But ultimately, as with many other treaties, ratification was rejected by Congress, and the Yurok tribal leaders were not notified of this and continued on under the belief that they had negotiated in good faith for a ratified treaty. Moving on to tribal governance. The reservation proper was established in 1855 under a chairperson council government structure. This structure comprised 9 members consisting of a chairperson, vice chair, and 7 council members at large, shown at the right from 2019 for the Yurok Nation. The Yurok Constitution was ratified on November 19th, 1993. And the core root authority for tribal courts in the Yurok justice system is derived from Article 7 of the Yurok Constitution. The Yurok tribal courts are empowered from tribal ordinances, and they're also specifically directed to employ traditional methods of dispute resolution and mediation that are directly linked to traditional dispute resolution within the Yurok community. Tribal court facilities and justices in the Yurok Nation consist of 2 satellite offices serving the main Tribal Justice Center in Klamath, California. The Chief Tribal Judge is the Honorable Abby Abinante, who is a very distinguished Yurok woman who had the distinction of serving the tribe in this capacity since 1997, and was a formal judicial officer for the San Francisco Superior Court, and most notably was the first Native American woman admitted to the California bar. The Judge Abinante is assisted by Associate Judge William Bowers, and Mr. Bowers and Ms. Abinante are shown on the right. So what is the jurisdiction and scope of the tribal court? And do they maintain a bar? The answer is yes, they do maintain a bar. It's a very accessible bar exam fee of only $50 to apply for a hard copy of the exam. The bar is governed by Title II, Chapter 220 of the Yurok Tribal Code, and it consists of an open book exam, true and false, multiple choice, and essay questions. And there is a current tribal bar roster available on the Yurok Tribal website. And what is the jurisdictional scope of the tribal courts? Title 10 of the Yurok Tribal Code defines and distinguishes the tribal responsibilities of the courts. And the type of cases the tribal courts oversee: civil offenses, protective orders in terms of domestic disputes or threats of a personal nature, domestic violence and marital discord, and most notably an exclusion ordinance that the tribal council has at its discretion to exclude certain individuals from dwelling on tribal lands aside from passage through on major thoroughfares. And the criteria for exclusion usually consist of very severe penalties of a violent nature. Interestingly, the Yurok and its well-developed justice system has partnered with local counties. It has developed a criminal assistance program that has authored and agreed to a memorandum of understanding with Humboldt and Del Norte counties to administer justice under concurrent jurisdictions. It's a shared responsibility that offers offender supervision, wellness court transfers, culturally relevant services that are geared toward the traditional lifeways and sensibilities of the Yurok people, and also compliance monitoring for that concurrent jurisdiction over offenders. The courts, Yurok courts, also provide extensive and complementary alternative programs, a wellness court to deal with issues of intensive substance abuse and treatment, and support services for those members who are re-entering the tribe after incarceration or struggles with alcohol or drug dependency. There is a victims of crime program where support services are provided for victims and families. There's a domestic violence and sexual assault program that offers relocation services after traumatic events and court advocacy for those in need of navigation through the Byzantine process of tribal adjudication. There is also the opportunity for batterers to engage in healing as part of reentry to the tribal society through the provision of group healing services. It's available to victims and offenders both. And notably, elder advocacy to ensure that elders are properly cared for and their welfare is provided for by tribal authorities, including a food security program. Additionally, and as I mentioned previously, a key thread running through this process in the tribal courts is the idea of redemption. And it's not just a penitence-based system, but active requirement to address one's difficulties and problems through therapy, through drug dependency counseling, so as to demonstrate to the tribe and the community that such issues are being addressed prior to reentry. There's also notably, and translating to I Will See You Again in a Good Way, is a program that focuses on murdered and missing Indigenous peoples, and specifically data analysis and the development of a North Coast California database and a protocol for integrating cooperative investigation among agencies, including the Yurok Tribal Police Department and the Humboldt County Sheriff's Department. In conclusion, please consider the Yurok Tribal Mission Statement as we're treated to a view of the mouth of the Klamath River as it empties into the Pacific Ocean. Thank you for your attention, and I appreciate the opportunity to explore the well-developed and culturally relevant tribal court system of the Yurok Nation, which depends on the interweaving of traditional cultural practices and mediation services with contemporary Western-based law enforcement to create a very effective and just tribal court system. Thank you.